right, Elena, we're rolling. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, and great to be on the podcast.
Yes. Do you know why I wanted to have you on the podcast?
I have suspicion, but I would let you tell me.
Well, of course, because of what you do. I mean, for everybody who doesn't know you, they're the director of operations at Share. And before you spent lots of years building up supply chain and category sales at Amorelie. So I think big brands that everybody know. But I really like, because we had a call maybe 3 or 4 months ago where we talked about recruiting.
Yeah, the first one, it seems like 3 years ago.
This is a good thing.
Nowadays, that's how time flies.
Right, it's true. But I think we had like 30 minutes planned. But the first 20 minutes, we talked mostly about sharing economy.
Yes, sharing economy, circular economy, new economies.
Right, and that's why I thought, man, it would be interesting to keep talking. Like, I don't need to talk about recruiting right now. It would be much more interesting to talk about sharing economy and what you do. But of course, you also wanted to ask questions about the recruiting we offer. So of course, we had to go there at some point. But no, that's why I wanted to have you on.
Fantastic. Well, I'm really happy to talk about that, but you would have to shut me up at a certain point, because this is a topic that I'm very passionate about. And as every person passionate about a particular topic, we can go for hours. And that's why I thought when we spoke about 3 months ago, the conversation shifted quite a lot. It took an interesting turn. And I mean, you saw, we took extra time and the topic is, of course, very interesting, certainly, and important.
How about if you want me to shut you up, I can just always mute you after 2 minutes.
Give me a signal like the Oscars.
Yes, the Oscars. Yeah, when people talk, they get pulled off stage. By the way, I talked with lots of people about Share last week, because I knew we were going to talk, and so I asked them people, and even look what I brought.
Ah, fantastic! That's one of the. It's not anymore new, or depending how you define new, but it's one of the key products that we launched this year, and I love it.
Well, I live in the complete countryside, in the backlands of northern Germany, and they didn't have much more.
I'm happy we reach also such destinations. But yes, I have to tell you one thing for Share. I'm actually curious to hear more of the things you heard in your conversations. But since I started working at Share, this is about 2.5 years ago. I joined October 2019, before Corona, right before Corona. Since then, 2.5 years, maybe it's also related to Corona, but I gained more than 3 kilos. And it is exactly because of snacks that like this that we have around, and samples and testing. And so that's maybe one thing that some people don't say about Share, but is that, yes, you get access to some fantastic products.
Maybe that can be the employer brand, like increase your salary, impact, and weight.
I'm gonna park that, and I'm gonna think about it later.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. But no, and I talked to many people, and interestingly, they all knew Share. Share has a really good connotation with everybody, because I think, especially right now, people are a bit wary of sustainable products. Like if you, like, for example, like I think even Air Up had like some backlash at them. Finn Kliman, if you know him, that German influencer.
Yes.
So I think people are a little hesitant right now with sustainable brands, and they wonder, like, are they for real, or is it just greenwashing? And and because some people don't even hide it. Like I had an interview years ago with a bank for a job, a large private bank that everybody knows. And so I was talking to, I think, also the head of ops. And then I shared with him, I really like what you're doing, and I saw on your website that you invest into lots of nonprofits. And he asked, so what do you mean? I said, well, on your website there's like a list of projects you support in third world countries, and I spent 4 years in international development. I really like that. And he asked, and he didn't know what I meant. And so I showed him. He said, "Oh, that no, that's just marketing."
Yeah.
Like he even told me, and I think that's the thing.
It really, the term is sad but not surprising. It's not I'm not even sad about this anymore because this is the reality. And yeah, I'm not surprised at all. And it's true. A lot of not only in the financial sector, actually a lot of organizations are using the topic of sustainability, social causes, for washing and for image.
Yeah. And so my first question that is connected with to share is what the feedback that people gave me. And they all really like share. They all trust you, but they didn't know exactly what share did. Like how exactly are they sustainable? But they did trust you that you were. They buy your products, they like it, they trust. But then they said, oh, but what exactly do they do? Like, so maybe you can help people out.
I hope I can. You know, before I started at Share, I had exactly similar feeling. This looks like a good company, the 1+1 principle, you know, like how, yeah, it sounds good. Yes. Sharing is caring. When you buy a product, immediately something good happens. I'd say that it's in the area of something good happens. Now for the past 2.5 years of Share, but of course, you know, it could sound, of course I'm in and I might as well tell you these things. For me, though, it's very easy to say it because it is the truth. What does Share stand for is first is a more general topic. Share was founded and is rooted in the desire to actually change consumption, to change consumption in such a way that it becomes part of the solution and not part of the problem. At Share, we oftentimes call ourselves pragmatic dreamers or pragmatic idealists, because we understand very, very deeply that it's not about a single act of activismus, or it's not about too much placard politics. It's not about who shouts the loudest sometimes. It's not about an amazing marketing campaigns. It is about actually becoming part of a system, and instead of scolding consumers, so now I'm focused on consumers, but that could be just, you know, scolding society, why not showing them a different way? And why not standing behind this way? Why not making it, so to say, our secret sauce is, why not making it easy? Why not making this choice when you're sitting on the shelf in front of your local supermarket? In the future, more and more online. Clearly, the consumers industry changed quite a lot because of Corona. But why not making a choice between a very, very known brand with whom probably you have grown up since a kid, and by default you reach out and take it? So your local chocolate brand, while without sacrificing on price. So that's the second part of the secret sauce. Make it easy, but also make it affordable. Make it affordable. The third, without sacrificing on quality necessarily. And meanwhile, you're thinking down the line and down the chain how you can actually make this product better. The fourth part in Share, and I think you pinpointed in exactly why this happens with Share. We know kind of what you stand for. We trust you. It looks good. So let me say that here to help maybe to the listeners. For every product, the future for us is also bright, and we look into services as well, various services. But let's say it like this: for every product, service, for every transaction, for every time a consumer buys and trusts and gives their money to Share, every single time we donate. Every single time there's a transaction happening. It's not about an yearly, let's look how much revenue we have made and donate. No, this is on every single choice that you make, something good happens. It happens in various forms and shapes. And every time a person consumes and chooses to consume, he also chooses to share with another human being. Now we have currently 4 major categories, just to say an example to develop it. So let's take the chocolate bar that you actually showed. In our 4 major categories, we have, thank you. So we have food, we have personal care, we have beverages and stationery. We're also developing sometimes more single partnerships. We have in textile, we have fantastic hats and socks, which I truly love. And I mean, I would love to change my clothing to share clothing, because this is not about a brand. It's more that, maybe in the future, of course, other categories that make sense. But let's take the food. The food categories, the organizations with whom we work, who are specialists and have developed for long time, a lot of infrastructure and network to help people in need across the world. This chocolate bar goes to a specific cause.
Let's take the example. I think this chocolate bar that I have, how much was it? $1.49, something like that.
Yeah.
So is there for each product like a certain percentage, or do you say we donate 5 cents or €1, or a similar product that you donate then chocolate to somebody? What exactly? How does that work?
We definitely do not donate chocolate. Just reiterated.
The Germans can eat it, but we'll
the first thing
I mean, chocolate is good if you think of, for example, after World War II. The soldiers, they brought chocolate to the children, because chocolate, like if you don't eat too much of it, it's actually good. It makes you happy.
Yes, absolutely. And
there's value in chocolate.
Absolutely. The sugar rush and the happiness that is unleashed. Yeah, absolutely. But no, we do not donate chocolate. So how does it work? The first thing, on every product of Share, somewhere on the packaging, there will be a barcode, which you can scan and absolutely see what is the project that is being supported by this project, by this product.
I'll do that right now.
We update it on a constant basis. So it's not just a couple of nice pictures that we have set up from the location with a nice context and text to appeal to the people and to say, oh, yes, I'm doing so good. Great. But the way that it works is, first of all, I have to say it's a different percentage that we donate from various products, because it's very much linked to, of course, production costs. It's very much linked as well to the needs of the product. But that is why we more focus on the need for need. If you eat a chocolate bar, somebody else will eat. Sometimes to buy a portion per day, cost different in different locations and in different organizations. It depends. Actually, it also depends very much on the bargaining power of the organization.
Yeah. Okay.
You have in the food chain some massive big organizations such as the World Food Organizations, UNICEF, and so on. You can imagine that there is a purchasing power to buy and to give across are much bigger compared to maybe a local one.
Yes.
We also, though, as a principle, just so that you know, look globally, absolutely, because sustainable development is not only linked to the more prospering countries in the Western Hemisphere of what we typically think about prospering countries, but we also have local help. For a lot of our food products that you can see on the shelves, we actually work with organizations here in Germany. So that's TAFO Germany and TAFO Berlin, and specifically.
Yes, I just saw that when I looked on the phone, that for my chocolate bar helps the TAFO.
Yes, so in this case, yes, a lot of times we also determine on batches, I have to say. We try to ensure as well stable donations from Share to an organization, so that they can count on us.
Right.
Maybe as an individual are interested in that. And let's say that you as an individual really, not only you like chocolate, but you are interested in supporting a lot more food-related causes. Our stationery, for example, support causes related to education. This one is very close to my heart, I have to say, because I think education or access to education is a very success determining factor in life. So there, for example, what do we do? Various things, but imagine we support schools and pay teacher salaries. Sometimes it's about organization of classrooms. Sometimes it's about in the future, for now not, but we look for partners such as supporting in building infrastructure, schools, to organize transportation to the schools. This is many elements that we look for in the future. For now, it's more related to paying school hours. So when you get a Share product from the stationery, you support a school hour of a child.
I think it's brilliant, especially that you also, for example, think about transportation. Like you think about what people actually need. There's this one story about there was like some fundraising event in the US, and they wanted to donate to some slum in India. and they raised, I don't know, 1.5 million. And then they went to the, let's say, like elder or mayor of the slum, and they asked them, what do you want? We can do a school or a hospital or a nursing station. What do you want to have? And they said, no, we just want a mailbox. And the people said, no, we don't do that. We raise the money for something big, so we can have a hospital, and they said, no, we want a mailbox. And so they kept going. At some point, the representative asked, like, why do you want a mailbox? And he said, well, because we officially we don't exist, and the Indian government will bulldozer all these all of our houses. But if we have a mailbox, then we do exist. And then they're not allowed to do this. So all we want is a mailbox. And so I think it's so important to collaborate, not just come from the Western point of perspective and think we know what's best for third world countries, but to actually partner, listen, and help them with what they need. And so I think, for example, transport to schools is brilliant, because we all read these stories of children like walking 6 miles to school.
Yes, and that's exactly how we work. You nailed it. What we imagine that people want as a help might not be so good for the postcards and the pictures, and might not be all the imagery of children as well starving. This is not what we stand for. That is why the organizations that we work with, I do have to say, we look at them also under, of course, with question marks from time to time. We absolutely understand that there is a problem with some of them, like every organization, I have to say. But they are amazing specialists, and there are people in the very big part that for so many years have placed local structures. They work with local leaders, with the communities, to best understand their problem and to ask them, what do you need? What is actually going to really change the environment, improve, and give a better chance? Maybe sometimes it's not only about the food. Now, there is a lot of discussions, I know, especially on the African continent and around, for crops, how to farm and get better crops.
Yes.
So these are the kinds of discussion we would love to participate, but nevertheless, in the end of the day, we must assure that people are not malnourished, do not suffer from chronic hunger, they have access to clean water, have basic hygiene necessities met, because all of this big work that we're talking about, it is not possible when you have so many people just dying and really just basic human rights be taken away from them.
Now, when you guys set the goals and think about which areas do you want to go in, how do you analyze? I mean, of course, the consumer decides. Like if I buy food, you donate food. If I buy stationery, you finance education. But how do you decide which things you even want to cover? Like you go by these 22 development goals of the United Nations, or you just make up your own priorities, more or less?
So the first thing to be said, the SDGs, right, the social development goals, they are the biggest global framework so far, with all its pitfalls that exist, and which guides, I think, not only companies like us, but also on a political spectrum, governments and societies. And I think it's a very comprehensive framework, and gives a very good outlook of what we as humanity have to look in. All of our causes are centered around one of the SDGs. For example, when we do things in food, it has to be related, the project, to moving the needle in stopping world hunger.
Yes.
Access to education. We have also topics for equality. They're more internal, but yes, so we do follow and we look for organizations who contribute to moving and achieving those goals. Absolutely. Of course, how we decide also on new categories, maybe that's the more interesting part. This is where more the consumer starts to dictate, and we do various analysis. For me personally, and I think for the team, one of the very interesting parts and exciting parts in every year is how to plan for the next 2 to 3 years. In fast consumer goods, particularly, the cycles are different than online. There, the decision is snap decision. You purchase immediately what's in front, 3 clicks of a button and it's in. For brands like fast consumer goods, a lot of the products, for example, that we develop right now, first of all, you're not seeing for the next 6 to 8 months, maybe even longer. I mean, it really depends. So you have to think already how consumer trends and what would be wanted and needed. But also, of course, the way that you market the products, the way that you target the consumer are slightly different. So that's an interesting part of what it plays in the decision making. And we, by the way, since Corona, I mean, we are 4.5 years young, almost 5 though. Since Corona, those 2 years, I think it changed a lot the business for many, many organizations, even a lot of organizations that thought that are on very, very stable track. So consumer behavior seems like changed quite a lot. I think some of the changes will stay longer. Some do start to have some reversal, and even here in Germany, in Berlin, you can see some organizations which benefited a lot right now are on the reverse.
Yeah. Now, if we take a step back, Elena, I mean, all of this donating, for example, the clothes, the food, whether it's in Germany or in Africa or somewhere else, what do you guys see as the most effective thing long term to help in, for example, developing countries? I don't know if you're familiar with Dead Aid from Dambisa Moyo. You know,
unfortunately not.
Dead Aid. Dambisa Moyo. So she basically says that within 5 years we need to stop all aid, because basically I think her point is that we're treating developing countries like teenagers that don't need to grow up. So we think they're incapable, and that's why we need to do everything for them. So one, of course, she criticizes this picture that like the white guy needs to help the developing countries, but also the long-term implications by saying, if we continue to do this, people will rely on the external donations. And that's a problem for both the individual, but also for the economies, because an economy is, like, in a sense, an economy is something egocentric. Like, I want to build up a good country, so I get many taxes. You know, but if you have strong people and they work a lot and they make a lot of money, then the country gets lots of taxes. But if people are not incentivized to work, then they don't pay taxes. And so her point was that if countries already get so much money from external forces, then they don't even need to build up good economies because they don't need taxes. So what's your guys' how do you guys view this topic, and what's like the long-term approach there?
Thanks, by the way, for introducing it. I, of course, am not familiar, but definitely something to look into. So thanks for that. I absolutely know the criticism in this, not necessarily from this book, but yes, there is this thought of how actually to stop supporting in a way that is damaging, so to say, that this help or the good intentions lead to nowhere and actually reinforce the problem. I do think that there are some very, very valid points, However, for myself personally, I think share what we have chosen in, as a business model as well, and as a credo and purpose is, I don't look at aid as something that just happens once or twice a year and you send some sort of a bulk of money, and this is something that it just happen occasionally, so that the people count, in 2 months something is coming on the trucks and we're going to have the food, and why should we do something about it? If you actually speak with a lot of the local organizations and people on spots, and we at Share do travel to the organizations and the destinations. In Corona, we stopped that, but we did in the first 2-3 years, and now we're going to restart again. For us, it's very important to familiarize on the spot what's happening. A lot of the people working in the donation organizations, they're also familiar with this problem. But our approach and goal is, right now, things are completely unequal. They're in completely two different dimensions. To say from tomorrow on, the so-called developed world or sorry, the world that has for such a long time has been taking and taking and taking says, okay, stop, nothing anymore. Well, how, when things are so not equal, this is actually going to help? Once again, I have to pull out the latest numbers. We do look at them at least once per quarter, but they're staggering and they're increasing. The number of people that are dying from hunger in 21st century, by the way, including in Germany. If you below the poverty line, you have here 2 million people. In Germany, I'm not talking about the African continent right now. 5 million children in Germany with problems with access to what in Germany is considered access to good food, good daily food ration and portions. How many people in Germany are on food banks vouchers? Right now, here in the Berlin bubble, in which I also live, and startups and the big unicorns and the millions and the billions, this is not the situation. And this is not valid only for Germany and the center, Berlin, where a lot of hip and nice things are happening. This is happening also in Europe, in other countries. So poverty, access to basic things, to food, this is something that we at Share, for us, we cannot stand by. So when a person needs to help and enable themselves, let's say, and take this, even if you wish, very basic example, well, let's develop our crops, like let's not count on food for people to come and help us. First of all, we always have to look at the situation around and how is it developed. Is this possible? Is this can happen to help? What about climate change? We have some specific examples where crops and land was developed for quite some time, and then you have a famine or a climate event which for the next 5 years eradicate the access and the possibility for an entire village or community of 20,000-30,000 people to eat.
Which was probably created by us in the Western world because we drive too much car.
For example, so I think my answer, to sum it up, there is validity in that. Mm-hmm. And I understand absolutely that a lot of times the Western world and organizations view this as let's throw some money on the problem. We at Share do not necessarily just say, hey, let's throw some money at the problem. Right now, where we can support, we support in various ways. I want to say for the beverage, just to give an example, for the beverage categories, there what we do is we work with organizations who either build wells or repair pumps. This is not throwing money. This is a bit similar to the example that you gave for the Indian village in the community where their problem, a massive problem for them, was a mailbox. Yes, access to clean water that then changed the sanitation conditions, decreases sickness, is something very, very valuable. In this term, yes, I do think that aid to support the local communities for problems that might not even be caused by them, as you said, is something beneficial. Perhaps in a global movement, there's a lot of more companies now and a lot of businesses waking up. I mean, the topic of social and sustainability is kind of overheating. I mean, this is we talk a lot about it.
And people are losing trust in it again. Like I think we're almost falling off the other side.
Exactly. We also watch and we do see this very clearly. So it's an interesting thing. We don't shy away from the discourse to say, is this actually helpful? For now, we absolutely believe that it's helpful. And our approach is always actually to speak and to try to find organizations to talk about it on local level, to understand, are we helping in some form and shape and not how we imagine that we help? But is this needed? And this is where we would enter. And then, of course, yes, we look from a consumer point of view. I mean, we want to compete and have just a strong brand as many other fast consumer goods. And in the future, even more, because it's absolutely doable and possible. One other thing that I would like to state, Share's donations do not come necessarily burdened by the end consumer. A lot of times, of course, this is the pricing we take from between us and our partners in retail. Right. In the end of the day, shoppers do not shop directly from Share.
Right.
On our website, I mean, if people see, we do have some small offering, but right now, for the moment, we are not a D2C in terms of sales brand.
Right. Now, if you look more at the consumers, because I think in the beginning you said You want to donate for every product, but also you want to make it easy for the consumer. Like,
Yes.
needs to be easy, affordable, better, I think. And something else, what was there a fourth one?
Easy, affordable, better. You can consider either part of easy or not, but we want for the consumer to also have a great quality.
Right. Yeah, I see. Now, is the plan, like, if you think about the big vision, do you just want to have products for everything, so that people can, like for example, like Amazon Basics, you can buy anything from Amazon now. So is the big idea that you just produce any kind of things, like bananas, shoes, I don't know what, chairs, or not? And so what do you suggest to consumers? How can you make the whole, because I'll make it easy, affordable, better, like how can people use that when there's no share product? Or is this something you just wish that all companies did? Because of course, all of these things make sense. I think nobody would say, no, that's not good. But not many companies live by this.
Yes, true. Can everything in the world be a share product?
Not everything, but I think you know what I mean, like each product.
Look, I mean, clearly there's some industries that I don't foresee share touching in the next 50 years. I mean, it completely doesn't make sense. I would rather close those industry and that's it, wrap it up, let's move forward. So the answer would be no, but there's two other dimensions. You already partially said it, I think. I could imagine a world where there is a lot more products, a lot more categories, a lot more industries. Share is an idea in the end of the day that addresses consumption. You're consuming, for example, right now, electricity. Yeah. Can this be a share type of product or service? Sure. I mean, think about it. The chair in which you sit, can it be? Yeah. Does it make sense right now? A little bit less. And the reason for it is we are very orientated. That's another very big component for us, impact. Impact right now in our lifetime to move the needle of how we live and how we consume, to see it in the next 5 to 10, 15 years, tangible outcomes of more and more consumers making the choice to buy socially orientated and sustainable products. This could be share, but this could also be other companies. If I have to state in order what we say to consumers, I would always say to consumer and to myself, to friends, to you, think about it. Do you really need to consume it right now? Is this a need? Or be conscious, is this a desire? Is this something, Technically, you don't need that many things, right? But of course, let's be, as I said, pragmatic realist. Yes, we've built our lives in a different way. I think we should, the word sometimes is feeling for consumers who choose such products, giving up on something, sacrificing. No, yes, it's inconvenient in the beginning to change a pattern of consumption choice, but you're actually gaining other things. So I view it more as a gain, and I invite consumers to think about it. Think, do you need to consume it? And then if you need to consume it or want to consume it even, why not a social brand? Why not a social and sustainable brand?
That's where the easy comes, I think.
Yeah, and my third invite, baby, if there's a share product and you like it, yeah, please buy share.
Yeah, I
if
think
there's another brand that is similar in this area, yes, better, please, yes, do it. Go and buy. We want to have this. This is the change of the economy, looking into more and more social brands.
So what you want to do long-term is, of course, more products, but also just be pioneers, influence, and help others to follow along, like other brands.
We don't necessarily think ourselves and draft in a strategy document how to become pioneers. This is something that we don't, or I don't have such discussions within the companies. Look at us, the novelty, the innovators, and so on. No, we're not the first social brand. We're not even the first brand that have done the 1+1. There is others. One of the big, strong differentiating factors with us is that we look towards the impact on a really, really massive scale. And therefore, we at Share have chosen the path of looking into many, many consumption categories, starting with fast consumer goods, because Well, of course, on a daily basis, you need to eat, you need to drink. So therefore, getting the trust of the consumer on this basis, we already do think it's a nice and positive steps for the future. But we don't think in the future of let us be written down as the pioneers. No, it's good to lead in the sense of invite and welcome in the conversation. We want as many people, companies, organizations, individuals, non-governmental, on the table as possible.
Okay, so sum it up, like you don't lead the way in order for others to follow, but you just lead the way because it's the right way to go. And you go it
exactly, and the others will follow.
But you're going.
Yes, absolutely. The others will follow. If you don't choose a share product, I would say, great, please choose another one.
Yes. And
please choose other brands. Why? Yeah, that's fine. It's your choice.
Right. I think the big thing that we all agree is we definitely need spaghetti from share. I think that would be fun. And we could call them spaghetti.
Spaghetti, yes. Yeah, that's we used to have pasta. We're working right now and reconsidering, because in this field it definitely, not that it turned out, but there's quite a strong preference from consumers for some or other brands, and some of the other very typical traditional brands, by the way, I suspect more because of obviously sales decline, but they have woken up and want to continue and get back more of the share. So they are looking into better ways in producing, more sustainable ways. And you know what? That's also a good outcome.
Yes.
That's also a good outcome.
Okay. Now, Elena, different topic. Before coming to share, you spent 4 years at Amorelie, which is one of the most, I would say, prestigious startups in Germany of the last decade. Question about your jobs there and what you're doing now, and because you're in leadership, like you're a leader within the company. How do you lead? What's important to you about leadership, and how do you build up teams and have built up your teams?
Amorelie is indeed, it has an amazing place in my heart. It's definitely a love affair. It's been an incredible journey for me. I joined them when they were about 2.5 years old, and for the next 4 years, when I was doing the buying, the supply chain, building up of actually one of the, for 2 years, the advanced calendar as a as a project. It was a remarkable journey, really. Tremendous energy there. I still very much love and believe in the mission and what this company and the community have done for love lives, and in general for the topic. So it was a fantastic time for me there. I'm not part of the organization for almost 3 years now, so of course they now had a different journey. I mean, it's seeing, but to the topic of leadership, at Share, I actually started, this is in Amorelie where I discovered the passion for, very simply put, building. For me, operations is really about making sure that everything comes together in a very good, impactful, positive way at all times, because at all times things change. And for me, this passion also on organizational design and people and culture is something that I discovered in Amorelie. I was very commercially driven, so to say. It was a bit more in the hamster wheel, I would say. The next big thing and the next big thing and the next big thing. And also from startups from before, this is very enrooted. Yeah? Next opportunities, right and left, grab it, do it now. Now I have to say I enjoy it, Share, although of course every startup and scaling story has its growing pains. I enjoy very much to have the chance to look into exactly and influence and have an impact of how an organization is built and how actually the people grow with it. My core drivers, I mean, there's so many quotes, there's so many things that people can tell you, and I can quote you, and from the big gurus of people and organization, I think it really boils down to a couple of very, very important things. If you say that people are your assets, mean it. Talk with people, be there for the people. Also, listen to them. I find a lot of times that even people who have joined the organization for 2-3 weeks, can tell you some things and bring some perspective which you as a lead absolutely do not see because you're so much. So be there for the people, really. Stand behind it. And the people will stand behind you. I, as a lead, have had to go through mine, and I still to this day struggle, go through the feeling of how to actually delegate better. And, you know, how to let go of certain things. And not because I don't think that the people can not do it better than me. It's more to protect, not to burden, have the slow growth. But I never, you know, for example, measure myself as a similar. And now I started to shift step by step to say, I have a bad day. I have to zoom out. I cannot, to put boundaries. I think, unfortunately, this comes with experience. The saying no comes with experience. So the first years are more difficult. But now I try for the people and to push them to say more no and to explore the yeses even more and deeper. But this very basic thing, be there for the people if they're your more important asset to every lead. In the end of the day, one of my biggest compliments is when the team doesn't need me anymore. And honestly, they kind of don't. My team particularly right now, yeah, they don't. I mean, things are running so great. They need me for other things probably. That's in the beginning I struggled because for the ego was difficult to accept, like, of course you need it in some different new shape and form, but this is my journey right now, actually, to say how to even grow in there more. Another very important thing that I have to say from a leadership, try to be, people talk a lot about EQ now, right? It's a component of the set. Yeah, absolutely.
Emotional EQ.
Absolutely. Empathy, being there for the people is 10 times more valuable that you're providing a flabbergasting, amazing presentation for a strategy. They're not going to take away the 11 slides that you've presented to show them the amazing growth. They're going to remember the emotion. They're going to remember how you've motivated them, being there for them. Nevertheless, I think also topics like clarity, openness, to talk about, to have these courageous conversations. I'm a very big fan of Kim Scott, Radical Candor. It has this book, and in general, the idea behind it has helped me a lot to understand that I don't always need to ask people to read between the lines when I tell them that maybe change something. So a lot about understanding how open and transparent to be with somebody to help them. And honestly, the last thing that I could say for leads that it's very important in this to lead is to try. I know it's hard, but to try to enjoy this journey, because we all are going to turn in a couple of years, in 10, 20, 15, depending what's your outlook. And if you just remember the grind and the difficulties and the occasional big celebration, and you don't have and leave with the conversations with people and have them, that will be very, I think I would regret it a lot. I so far don't have big regrets in my life, but I think, yes, to enjoy it, try to be present in the moment. And that's so difficult nowadays. So difficult, really. That's the hardest, I think.
Yeah, really good stuff. Thank you. So it's really, when you talk about leadership, you really focus, I think from what I heard, really on your one-on-one relationships, you know, trying to get yourself out of the way instead of being the big person.
I try, not always succeeding though. I don't want to sound not always succeeding, but yes, I honestly discovered the moment when I tried to remove myself, a lot of beauty coming up, and people really rising.
I think somebody else wrote on LinkedIn the other day, once you delegate, you double your team's IQ.
That's a very good, yeah, I can definitely say that. Or, you know, I also learned now in a delegation to tell another thing, maybe it's useful, maybe some of your listeners will already do it. Share why you have problems to delegate it with the person to who you delegate. Like, set the expectation. I'm afraid that, you know, this and this, what do you think? Let them know, set it, don't let them wait. And it's natural, it's normal, it's human. That doesn't make you weaker. It actually sets the right tone and the person can respond. If I'm afraid to delegate because I don't think that the person can do it, I think I have another set of problems then within my team if I think that people cannot do it. So, but it's a journey. it's a journey, and it's a lot more easier now to be said in such an environment than done on a daily basis. I myself fail. I make, I don't know how many mistakes a day. Most of them are not dramatic, but yeah, I do F up.
Yes. Okay. We only have a few minutes left. And I know you're also in charge of the people. So do you want to pitch if somebody unlocks it? Oh, what a great interview. Elena's so nice, such a good leader. I want to work for Share. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can pitch people why this. I mean, I don't think they need another why. I think you've explained it well enough, what you do and why people are motivated and why they should care. But what kind of people are you hiring, and how can people get in touch?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, though, for this for this moment of opportunity.
You can post a video of it on LinkedIn if you would like.
Yeah, always. I mean, for sure. We look for great talents at all times, and I'm happy to say that we're looking. We do have, I think, at the moment, 13 open positions.
Nice.
But, we do plan to grow, and there's other organizations that are in a different set. So I'm happy to say that Share is growing, and we are looking for great, awesome Sharies to join. In terms of a pitch, look, I know that if the people are interested, they're definitely going to go on the website. So besides what you're going to see there with the nice elevator pitch, I would try to lift the curtain and give you a couple more reasons that perhaps come in the first interviews and conversation across, but no, not necessarily just from the page. Share is what I hear from so many other people, 100% purpose-driven company. Like really, even on the toughest days where tasks could seem mundane, where you don't want to be in a meeting, working for Share does give you the different calibration, does give you the different perspective. We in the growth right now have sometimes, even I know with Sharies and myself, we need to bring more the social and sustainability and the focus and to see what we do on a daily basis. By now, just to give you an example, every second somebody shares. This means that every second a Share product is bought.
Wow.
Who is that? We want to quadruple this, and we invite people to come and quadruple it. But for the Sharies to think, and for the people joining, the purpose is there. The people are ready to make this choice. So the purpose drive is there. So bring your skills, bring your talent, bring your passion, your heart, your brain. Bring your vulnerabilities to Share. You are going to work for a great purpose. You, in the end of the day, are going to work with just as equally passionate, driven, and inspiring people. I mean, what makes an organization is not necessarily always the tasks. Yes, they're exciting projects and you learn more and grow, but it's the people that you're surrounded with. And you better be surrounded on a vast majority, if possible, all by incredibly crazy, cool, passionate people, specialists in their areas. So Share is this type of organization. So join this inspirational people. But also something else that I have to say for Share that you're not going to see. There's a lot of unbeaten tracks. This is a young organization where people can actually bring impact, where you can see your ideas on all levels, from the more junior to the more senior, it does not matter. We have so much to build, so much to build. Sometimes it really feels like a mountain because there's tremendous opportunities. So come and build it with us. You will have an impact. You're not going to be, just one part of the wheel. Right now, it's a fantastic time for that. Really a fantastic time for that. So come on board.
Okay, cool. Elena, great last words. Thanks for being in this wonderful podcast. Well, I hope wonderful. You were a wonderful guest to have, at least.
Thank you. No, really, thanks a lot for this invite. Yet again, another great chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.